Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 episode number 125 based on novel. So let's start. The two figures of the old devil of time and space merged into one. He smiled and flipped his hand. A drop of cyan water appeared in his hand. The water drop gradually turned into a flying boat. This is a flying boat for escaping from the late god Emperor. When you leave the origin world in the future, you will encounter many dangers. It will be very useful at that time. Luo Feng reached out to take it. A drop of cyan water fell on his palm. Luo Feng's thoughts penetrated and quickly controlled this secret treasure. The water drop naturally turned into a flying boat. Late god Emperor, life-type secret treasure? Luo Feng had already glimpsed the mystery of the secret pattern contained in this secret treasure. Although he could judge at a glance, it was far inferior to the Star Tower. But now he could only drive a little bit of the Star Tower. This water drop, he could also only activate a very small part. As the power penetrated the secret treasure, Luo Feng felt the weight of this drop of water, which was countless times heavier than his own life form. He could not shake it even with all his strength. I can sense the entire origin world. Luo Feng used this water drop flying boat to sense every part of the origin world, including the primordial universe of the 3,000-dimensional space. With just one thought, he could reach any place on the origin continent. However, the 3,000 primordial universes were protected by the supreme rules. If he trespassed without permission, there would be serious consequences. This flying boat has a very wide sensing range, and you can reach it with just one thought. The old devil Time and Space said, and it is like a living world, very heavy, and can help you resist many dangers. Especially for you young people with weak strength, if you just go outside the origin world without any protective items, it is easy to die. Is it dangerous outside world? Luo Feng asked. Very dangerous. The old devil of time and space said, those who can walk out of the origin world are not ordinary strong people. These strong people, very few are creatures of the origin world. The vast majority come from other billions of worlds. They can be collectively called cultivators. Cultivators are varied and have different methods. You just left the origin continent and don't know many methods. It's easy to be tricked. The old devil of time and space said with a smile. Luo Feng listened carefully. No matter what, cultivators are ultimately in the same camp. Those innate chaotic origin life forms are our biggest enemies. The old devil of time and space said, they are born outside the cage, and are chaotic origin life forms. However, most of them have low intelligence and comprehension, and are unable to tap too much into the power of their bloodline. Their strength is only at the level of god emperors. Those with lower intelligence are the level chaotic origin life forms. They are also the opponents of us cultivators. The old devil of time and space said, as for the stronger high-level chaotic origin life forms and so on, don't even think about it. If we encounter them, we will surely die. Even the clone hiding in the hometown origin world will be implicated and die. The hometown clone will also have to die? Luo Feng was shocked, even the supreme rules can't protect it. Nothing is absolute. The old devil of time and space sneered, the supreme rules can't even protect themselves. Can't even protect themselves? Luo Feng was puzzled. The innate chaotic origin life forms group is very large and powerful. It far exceeds our group of cultivators. The old devil of time and space said, Senior Yuan and his men are also resisting the innate chaotic origin life forms group. But overall, we are at a disadvantage. As far as I know, some origin worlds have been swallowed up by the innate chaotic origin life forms group. The old devil of time and space sighed. Luo Feng was shocked when he heard it. Some origin worlds? Origin worlds, such a huge thing, ruled by the supreme rule, will also be eaten? Why do you think Yuan left so many treasures on the origin continent? The old devil of time and space shook his head gently. It's because the entire cultivator camp is at a disadvantage in the fight against the innate chaotic origin lifeforms group. I once saw with my own eyes that a huge thing rushed into a world where our cultivators gathered. The chaotic origin life forms on our cultivator side could not stop it and was torn to pieces. The old devil of time and space said, I immediately annihilated my clone and escaped. The creatures in that world, not many survived. Luophone was confused when he heard it. Swallowing the origin world? A huge monster rushed into a world, and the cultivator's chaotic origin life form resistance was torn to pieces? Compared with this level, he was indeed too weak. Outside the origin world, it is very cruel. The old devil of time and space looked at Luophone and said, I also want to seize every opportunity to break through the boundary and teleport to each origin world, hoping to get more opportunities and go further on the road of cultivation. The old devil of time and space looked at Luophone, and was also looking at his kind. Countless people of the same kind are moving forward in the darkness. Even the Yuan standing at the highest point is struggling to resist a larger force. The old devil of time and space left, and the two worlds palace master and the owner of the Wanfa Tower also came to visit Luophone. Obviously, they thought that with Luophone's strength, he should be able to obtain special life debris and secret methods. Luophone tried to sell the other 3 secret treasures left by Emperor Yuan: cloak, combat boots, and gloves. But the two worlds palace master and the owner of Wanfa Tower did not look down on these 3 early secret treasures of the God Emperor. What the space-time demon said is right. The 5 items are cheap, and only the armor and beads are more valuable. Luophone also learned about the information outside the origin world from the two worlds palace master and the owner of Wanfa Tower. The two did not hide anything and took the initiative to tell him a lot. The more he learned, the heavier Luophone felt in his heart. Origin world is a cradle that protects the origin lives. The outside world is a dark place. Now I am not even in the ultimate realm, I am still too weak. Luophone's arrogance of having invincible power in the origin continent also dissipated. Of course, he also knew his shortcomings and advantages. The disadvantage is that his realm is still relatively low, only the 2nd level God King. The advantage is that the Great Tao of Life and Death is a fusion Great Tao, and its power is obviously extremely powerful. This is a path far beyond the same level. And he also has the Star Tower to comprehend. The Milky Way God Kingdom, with a status close to that of the 2 ancient kingdoms, naturally attracted some enemies of the 2 ancient kingdoms to surrender. Kingdom Lord. Guishu Emperor's eyes flushed, and he said respectfully, in my previous life, I was a Leher God King, and I had a blood feud with Emperor Yang, Emperor 11, and Emperor Wu of the Flame Wind Ancient Kingdom. My wife, 3 sons, 2 daughters, and my people were all slaughtered by those 3 emperors. After my reincarnation, I have always wanted revenge. However, I only targeted the 3 lineages of Emperor Yang, Emperor 11, and Emperor Wu, and did not implicate others. Luophone, wearing a silver robe and a golden face, sat on the throne, looked down, and nodded slightly. I have heard about the matter of the Leher God King. Guishu Emperor said respectfully, I sincerely follow the Kingdom Lord, and please take me in. Revenge is too difficult. Those who can be killed and those who are easy to kill have been killed long ago. The rest are too difficult to deal with. Emperor Yang, Emperor 11, Emperor Wu, make Guishu Emperor see no hope. Hearing that the Milky Way Kingdom Lord killed Emperor Yuan, he wanted to surrender. I like people who value friendship and loyalty, and I don't like despicable people. Luophone looked down, Guishu, from today on, you are a member of my Milky Way God Kingdom. Yes. Guishu Emperor responded respectfully. Guishu Emperor, follow me. Morosa said on the side. Morosa is now the chief steward of the entire Milky Way God Kingdom, and he has enough strength to manage these unruly and powerful God Kings. Luophone also found it interesting to watch Guishu Emperor leave. When I reveal my identity in the future, I wonder what Brother Guishu will think. Luophone thought. Guishu and Emperor Yang and other 2 emperors have a blood feud, and Luophone also supports him in revenge. The emperors of the Flame Wind Ancient Kingdom, the monarchs of the Thunder Ancient Kingdom. Luophone admires some of them, but there are also some that Luophone dislikes, and there are very few that make Luophone want to kill. In recent times, there are more and more god kings under my command. Luo Feng thought. There are as many as 16 god kings who have surrendered recently, among which Luo Feng is familiar with 2 of them, Guishu Emperor and Yunqian God King. Yunqian God King is the female god king of the reincarnation building. This time, she took the initiative to join the Milky Way kingdom with her Taoist partner. Ever since the feud with the Thunder Ancient Kingdom, Yunqian God King has been on the run and has never made her Taoist partner public. This time, the Taoist partner can finally live together openly. Flame Wind Ancient Kingdom, Ching City. Emperor Ching Palace. The Milky Way kingdom has been established for a while. I believe that the 3 major foreign races have also visited this kingdom lord. He should also know a lot about the outside of the origin world. Emperor Ching looked at the outside world. It's time to meet this Milky Way kingdom lord. He stood here, and with a thought, an invisible force crossed the distant space and descended on the capital of the Milky Way God Kingdom. In the palace of the capital, Luo Feng and Morosa looked at the outside world at the same time. They both felt a terrible force coming from afar, which had reached the upper limit of the power of the origin continent. And it didn't cause a big commotion. The world was still very quiet. Huge and convergent. Master, I feel that the other party is very scary. I am far from being his opponent. Morosa felt his heart tremble. In front of this terrifying power, he could not hold on for long and would die. It is an existence above the God King. Luo Feng said. The 3 foreign races, after all, came from the outside world, and their power was suppressed to the upper limit of the Chaos Realm. So Luo Feng was very easy to deal with. But at this moment, Luo Feng had to be cautious. I don't know which friend it is. Luo Feng thought, and a faint blood-colored wave emerged around the capital to resist the huge invisible force. Emperor Ching, meet the Milky Way Kingdom Lord. A cold voice sounded. A man in green appeared in the capital, and with another step, he arrived in front of the main gate of the palace. He did not descend directly into the palace, but stood outside the main gate of the palace, which also represented goodwill. Emperor Ching's visit is an honor for my Milky Way God Kingdom. Luo Feng's voice sounded, and the main gate of the palace opened wide. Emperor Ching stepped in. In just 2 steps, Emperor Ching came to a 9-story pavilion in the palace. Luo Feng had already set up a banquet here, and Morosa stood by to serve. Today I finally get to see the Milky Way Kingdom Lord. Emperor Ching came over with a smile. He suddenly looked at Morosa beside him with some surprise. Who is this old servant? He activated many observation methods at a glance. In his observation, the Milky Way Kingdom Lord was the incarnation of a terrifying blood river, heavy and vast. And this old servant was like an abyss, difficult to spy on. It would have been fine if he couldn't see through the Milky Way Kingdom Lord, but he couldn't see through this old servant either. He is a world beast under my command. Luo Feng said. Emperor Ching smiled. I was still wondering how 2 powerful beings could rise up at the same time in the origin continent. It turns out that this old servant is a world beast. The Milky Way Kingdom Lord is really extraordinary. He can actually cultivate a world beast. At Emperor Ching's level, he naturally doesn't care about a world beast. World beasts cannot break the limit of fate and will always be just the ultimate realm. Luo Feng was also observing Emperor Ching. With the domain formed by the Star Tower, he could feel the edge of Emperor Ching. Even his endless blood river was not sure that it could stop this terrifying edge. Worthy of being above the only current generation God King of the origin continent. Luo Feng said secretly. The ancestor of the 2 kingdoms and the ancestor of the Eastern Pole territory were not from this era. His talent is a huge lead, far beyond other cultivators. Luo Feng understood this. Not counting himself, Emperor Ching was the most terrifying of his generation. After that was the ultimate realm's 10,000 worlds kingdom lord, and then the Emperor Fu, Emperor Ming, Queen of Wind City, Fire Ancestor, etc. Emperor Ching only had Luo Feng in his eyes, and didn't care about the world beasts at all. Because the lowest threshold for teleporting out of the origin world is the ultimate realm life form. So outside of the origin world, which gathered the elites of many origin worlds as well as the elites of billions of other worlds, where the ultimate realm was just the base level, he naturally didn't care about a world beast. I thought that in this era of our origin continent only I and the 10,000 worlds kingdom lord appeared. Emperor Ching's eyes were fiery. Who would have thought that the origin continent was gradually entering its final stage, that the Milky Way kingdom lord appeared? Ha ha, it's really a great joy. They came from the origin continent together, and they are obviously the most suitable companions for life and death. It's so rare to have a trustworthy companion in the outside world. If you don't mind, I'll call you Brother Milky Way. Emperor Ching smiled at Luo Feng. Of course. Luo Feng said, the 13 emperors of the Flame-Wind Ancient Kingdom have different styles of doing things. Emperor Ching is the most dazzling one, with outstanding talent and a clear lead. He disdains the chaotic origin bloodline, disdains devouring living beings and other crooked ways. He only needs to comprehend the operation of the rules of heaven and earth, and he will naturally become the ultimate realm. Even when practicing in the origin continent, he broke through the ultimate realm and reached above the God King. To be able to reach this step, resources are indeed helpful. But the other emperors and monarchs of the two royal families who also have huge resource supplies have not even appeared in the ultimate realm. This shows how terrible Emperor Qing's talent is. Emperor Yuan's matter is his own fault. Emperor Ching didn't care, he is greedy by nature. He has devoured billions of lives many times and caused a lot of trouble. Such a waste who only causes trouble, according to my temper, I would have killed him long ago. But the family rules of the royal family of the Flame-Wind Ancient Kingdom were set by the ancestor, and I can't change it. Luo Feng was a little surprised when he heard it. Emperor Ching didn't come to make trouble, but thought that Emperor Yuan deserved to die? The ancestor was tolerant and felt that there were thousands of great Daos and there was no need to restrict too much. Emperor Ching shook his head and smiled, let's not talk about it. I came here today to invite Brother Milky Way to lead the origin continent. Then we will join forces to venture out together. Invite me to join forces? Luo Feng was a little surprised. When you venture out, there are dangers everywhere. Emperor Ching looked at Luo Feng, the foreigners are not trustworthy and may betray you at any time. You and I are both from the origin continent. Even if we go to the next era of the origin continent, we will still have clones staying in the origin continent. We will live together for endless years, so naturally we are the most trustworthy. Like the Flame-Wind ancestor and the Thunder ancestor, they have been together for endless years. Because of their mutual support, they have come to this day. Emperor Ching looked at Luo Feng, I really need a companion who is trustworthy and strong enough. I heard that teleporting away from the origin continent will lead to different places. Luo Feng said, I may not be able to reunite with you, Emperor Ching. I have the coordinates of the chaotic origin space, which can lock the destination. I can send a clone to teleport with you, and then we can teleport to the world where I am. Emperor Ching said. When I first teleported, it was this world. It has been rooted for a long time and has some foundation. If you and I join forces, the start will be much smoother. Luo Feng was quite moved. However, he is not even an ultimate realm life form. He is not qualified to lead the origin continent yet. The origin continent is too small for you and me. Emperor Ching persuaded enthusiastically, outside the origin world. There are many powerful people from other origin worlds, and there are also powerful people from billions of worlds. That's where we should go. I'm practicing a secret method currently. Luo Feng thought for a while and said, wait until this secret method is mastered, and then go outside the origin continent. Practicing a secret method? Emperor Ching asked, how long does it take? At their level, if they concentrate on practicing a powerful secret method, millions or tens of millions of epochs are normal. About 1,000 epochs. Luo Feng said. Luo Feng got 3 ultimate realm chaotic origin bloodline creature materials, and naturally wanted to push the world life form to a higher level. Those ultimate realm chaotic origin bloodline creatures, with low intelligence, have such strength. If Luo Feng succeeds, his physical body alone will be comparable to that of the God King. Combined with the accumulation of deeper Great Tao life and death, Luo Feng felt that at that time he could try to go outside the origin world and see for himself. The most important thing is, to pass the transmission channel, at least it must be an ultimate realm life form. This is the threshold set by the Yuan. Only about 1,000 epochs. Emperor Ching smiled when he heard it. Don't worry, brother Milky Way, practice well and perfect the secret method, then we will set out together. Luo Feng nodded. According to the information he knew about Emperor Ching and the current contact, Emperor Ching is suitable to be a companion. The most important thing is that both parties are from the origin continent. In the future, they will be together for a long time in the origin continent, and they have to consider their relatives, friends, and disciples. They come from the same origin world, so the possibility of betrayal is extremely low. If you don't mind, brother Milky Way, let's have a sparring match. Emperor Ching looked at Luo Feng. A fight between you and me can also let the various forces in the origin continent see it, so that they will never dare to be enemies with you, brother Milky Way again. Sparring? Okay. Luo Feng was also looking forward to it. Okay, then let's go outside the continent, to the universe ocean. Emperor Ching said, that way, innocent people will not be affected. Luo Feng nodded. They came one after another, and then they all crossed the endless distance and came to the universe ocean, outside the land of the origin continent. This vast universe ocean is close to the origin continent, but there are no living creatures. Please? Emperor Ching said with a smile. He had experienced many battles and met many powerful people from different worlds when he was out there. Under the power restrictions of the origin continent, Emperor Ching naturally had no pressure at all. He was only curious about the strength of this future companion now, and he just hoped that his companion would be as strong as possible. Luo Feng stood there. Be careful. Luo Feng was full of fighting spirit. This was a rare opponent. As soon as he thought of it, he suddenly turned into an endless blood river, which rolled and spread across an endless vast area in an instant. The blood river covered the area and became a world in itself. The length and width of the blood river have no end. And if one was not strong enough, one would never be able to fly into the range of the blood river. Break! Emperor Ching stood there without moving, but there were terrifying sword lights centered on him, cutting in all directions. These sword lights were condensed to the extreme and cut off all obstacles and even the rules of operation. Even though Luo Feng's endless blood river was thick and each stream was like a world, it was still cut off by these sword lights. The 19 sword lights cut through everything, even cutting through the blood river world barrier and cutting into the surrounding universe ocean. Boom tilde tilde tilde, the universe ocean was cut into empty gullies, and there were long cracks on the membrane wall of the origin world. The power of these 19 terrifying sword lights, without any cover, was wantonly exposed, and instantly alarmed every god king on the origin continent. This power? Every god king on the origin continent felt that the power that made them tremble with fear and could easily annihilate them had erupted at the end of the continent, in a certain universe ocean. Immediately, they tried to spy on it one by one. The powerful god kings could use secret methods to watch from afar. The weak god kings needed to rely on the images spied on by the Flame Wind Guild Hall and the Thunder Chamber of Commerce. The Milky Way Kingdom Lord and Emperor Ching fought. Is Emperor Ching standing up for the Flame Wind Ancient Kingdom? Want to avenge Emperor Yuan? All forces were excited. Emperor Ching has taken action. Emperor Yang, Emperor Kong, Emperor Wu, and other emperors were very excited. They were full of confidence in Emperor Ching. Emperor Ching said that he couldn't do anything to the Milky Way Kingdom Lord, so why did he take action? Emperor Fu watched this scene from afar. Luo Feng. Among the many god kings watching, there was also a sitting mountain guest. The sitting mountain guest had long known the identity of the black-robed golden-faced strongman. Luo Feng's strength can overpowering the 8 emperors joining force. I wonder how he can do against Emperor Ching? Although the sitting mountain guest was a little nervous, he still had confidence in his disciple. His disciple was extremely talented, even better than Emperor Ching and the 10,000 Worlds Kingdom Lord. After coming to the origin continent, he has grown to this point in just a few hundred epochs. How terrifying is this talent and potential? In the universe ocean near the land, Luo Feng could naturally sense the remote spying of a large number of god kings, and he also understood what Emperor Ching was doing. He wanted to make a bigger noise to let all forces truly understand the strength of the Milky Way Kingdom Lord. Brother Emperor Ching's sword formation is indeed powerful. It can easily tear apart my blood river. Luo Feng sighed. Water is least afraid of being torn apart. Emperor Ching smiled. I cut 19 times with my sword, and the power of your endless blood river has not been lost at all. But next, I have to be serious. My sword formation is called 3000 Killing Formation. It is formed by absorbing the mystery of an ancient witch formation. Although it is restricted by the supreme rules and its power is limited, its mystery can be fully displayed. Emperor Ching smiled and said, please accept it. As soon as the voice fell, this huge sword formation, the sword light suddenly burst out, countless sword lights gathered and operated, and the entire formation turned into black and white, trying to annihilate the entire blood river. However, the endless blood river was extremely heavy, and the black and white sword light strangled it. The black and white sword light barely strangled part of the blood river, but a wisp of blood eroded the sword light, causing the wisp of sword light to collapse. A blood river of life? Emperor Ching instantly determined, the vitality of each strand of blood river is extremely terrifying. Once contaminated, it can even corrode and destroy my sword light. This video will end here.